new nightmare of living in Toronto, not being able to afford the city that you live in. And
Toronto has the slowest municipal permitting process in the
You're
world.
literally.
There are people that make six figures and still can't afford to buy a house. That's insane.
32 months to get a project approved.
Why younger people and really fucking anyone cannot afford to buy a house? No political, financial, governmental help.
Hey YouTube, it's Zach. Things in Toronto keep getting worse. It almost feels like it doesn't even make sense to live in Toronto anymore. And since the mayoral election's just around the corner, I wanted to go and check the candidate list and see which one of the candidates would be fixing at least something. There was one candidate that caught my attention. Their Wikipedia page had a lock on it, which I've never seen, apparently to protect from vandalism. I'm talking about Chris Saccoccia. And when you Google him, if there's any article written on him, it would have labels such as the anti-vaxxer Chris did this, conspiracy theorist Chris did that. This channel is not a political channel. For me, all I wanted to know is if Chris removed stupid things like the vacant home tax and if he has any plans on how to make homes more affordable for Torontonians. So I decided to personally interview him, text him, DM him, message him, email him to see if he would get back to me. And I waited for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I almost was gonna give up. In less than 1 hour, Chris replied, he's in. Enjoy the interview. Hello, hello.
Hey, brother.
Hey, Chris.
I'm here. Hold up. Sorry, just finished at the gym. And
Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. It was a rough leg day today. I didn't even have time to change or anything for the interview.
It's okay. It's even better. I guess we'll jump right into it. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you for joining. How's your run been so far?
It's been better than I could have even possibly imagined. The amount of support I'm getting from virtually every sector of society, from all the boroughs, from every ethnicity, from all age groups, virtually every demographic, except the people that you see, like, for instance, I saw a girl rollerblading today wearing a mask by herself. Those people are probably not going to vote for me.
I was checking your Wikipedia page and it's silver lock protected, says against vandalism.
It's funny because Wikipedia is obviously a biased source, and in my page, it's completely locked, and you have to have a very special type of account to be able to edit it. And even if you do have that type of account and you try to make an edit, it will be changed back within literally seconds. And then if you go to so-called independent magazines like The Local, they have fact-checked bios on all of the different candidates, and my bio literally reads like something out of a movie. And then you click on the page where it says who funds The Local, and it has a huge logo funded by the government of Canada.
I was gonna ask you to help me maybe come up with a title as well that fits that narrative. I mean, you brought up a couple of points. My channel is mainly real estate, economy, housing market. I'm a real estate agent, by the way. So the topic I wanted to discuss with you is, I guess we'll start with an easy one. The vacant home tax. I got one. Everybody who lives in Toronto got one. We had to literally tell the government that we live in our own homes, even though I think they know I live in my own home because I have my address for my driver's license there as my primary residence.
Vacant home tax is a ridiculous thing. The vacant home tax is a good idea for foreign buyers. First of all, the number one cause of rising home prices is the government itself, the government getting in the way. I've been in development, planning, design, and building for over 20 years. And to get rezoning, then to get all the development process and get all the permits for the developments, and to work with all the departments for development, then to go through the whole building permit process. Yeah. We're talking months, if not years, in some cases. And so you have a development corporation, they're paying salary every week. They're paying interest payments every month on their land. So the months and months you are delaying them, the government is delaying them. What do you think is going on? That's going into the home prices. More than 30% of every home cost is government taxes, levies, and fees. So if you're buying a house for $1 million, it's because 300 plus grand is going right to the government.
Okay.
So the number one thing we need to do is streamline the development process. If we could do that and eliminate a lot of the red tape and save months on major developments and fast track zoning for high density real estate in the downtown core, especially, surprise, surprise, all of a sudden we're going to be developing 50% to 100% more units in the same amount of time. So the availability is going to go way up. So we're not going to have an availability crisis. And when availability goes up, and because things are getting done faster, surprise, surprise, prices are going to come down. And then for the people that are young or the people that are of lower income, their home ownership is a relic of ages past. You're a real estate agent. Yeah, talk to a 20-year-old and tell them, how are you going to spend $100,000 for a down payment on anything? Answer, they're not. So
I always tell my clients, get married, ask mom and dad for money, and hopefully we can get you a place.
Yeah, and you laugh, but that's the reality.
It's the reality. I don't know why people would choose to live in Toronto in this environment at this point, right?
That is the reality. Unless you're making six figures or a dual income family where you have two people making money, or you have equity in something else because you were already a homeowner before, or you have help from your parents, the fact is you are not going to be a homeowner in Toronto. And that's the majority of people. This is scary. This is going well on the way to you will own nothing and be happy. And a lot of people are scared of this. So we want to introduce a rent-to-own program where we're going to take these high-level developments and high-density developments, and we're going to put about 10% of the units aside for the government to do rent-to-own programs for either lower income or younger people. Because you got all these students paying $1,500 a month each to get a $3,000 a month rental place. And then they're staying there for 4 years, 5 years, and then sometimes even longer. And it's just wasting their money. And then they have no incentive to save, no incentive to plan for their future. Imagine instead that these students are now going to be homeowners, 50% each of this place that they're buying. They're not going to waste all their money every month. They're going to want to put that money into their place because it's going into their own future. And now we're going to have an entirely different attitude in the young people, and we're going to have an entirely new base of equity for when they get older.
How would you implement this rent-to-own program?
Very simple. Like I said, first we would give for the developers that want to do it and the developers that sign on, they would get fast tracking for through all of their phases of their development, for the rezoning, for the development, for the building permit. That's going to save them a ton of money, which they will then be able to discount sales on a certain amount of units, a certain percentage of units to the government. We can create a private corporation within the government itself that can then provide the mortgages, lease to own type deals to lower income or people that want to buy together, purchase together in partnership with private corporations who are going to be putting up the funding. So it's not going to cost taxpayers anything. And it's not going to cost anybody anything, but it's going to make home ownership accessible to a much higher percentage of the population that up to now, there was absolutely no shot for them to own a home. And that is absolutely astronomical.
Being in the industry, I see a lot of new developments are very expensive anyway. Most of it are luxury condos. No one I see is developing a purpose rental.
That's just the way that they're trying to beautify the city, and that's the way development's going, and it's just going up with the higher rent prices. So if people are going to pay $3,000 plus a month for something, and that's average now, you can't put them in a place that looks like it costs $700 a month. And at the same time, it's because they want people not to be able to afford things. This is all by design. Everything that's happening, it's not mismanagement. It's intentional mismanagement. That is huge difference.
How is a corporation that is, you said you're in development yourself, like I don't see any corporations going saying, hey, I'm a developer, I'm going to build a purpose-built rental in Toronto. That's going to be by design. Like, are you?
It would be easy to do that by just giving them a tax incentive. If they were saving on any of their fees, permits, levies, or even the timeline of doing it, and they were saving on HST or any of the other taxes they got to pay in order to create an incentive to create a product at a specific price point, for instance, the developers would be jumping all over that. Are you kidding me? Believe me, developers would jump on it.
Right. Because I believe in free enterprise. So I'm trying to figure out what's the reason why. So you're saying it's financially not feasible for a developer to go out and say, I'm going to build a purpose-built rental. It just makes no sense. It's too expensive. So let's make a luxury building which is going to make more money and it will be financially feasible for us to develop.
That's right. They're not going to build something that's going to be, they're not going to build something that's going to look and be cheap because they know that in that area, the rent's still going to be $3,000 a month. So they got to make it look like a place that's worth $3,000 a month, or you're not going to rent it. You know how many buildings in downtown Toronto right now are empty? I was driving down there the other day, and they're in really nice neighborhoods. And the reason they're empty is because they're older buildings, and they still have such a really high price rent. So why are people going to go to those older buildings when they can go to these nicer, newer ones?
Talking about the vacant home tax again, you said that it should be against foreign buyers. So number one cause is government. We don't have enough supplies. Prices are going to go up. Everyone's against these foreign buyers. We're trying to make it work. For Toronto specifically, are we going to get the letters if you're elected? How would you implement that to target only the foreign buyers? So I'm not sitting at home telling the government, hey, I still live at my place, just so you know.
It's simple. If the name on if the name and the ID on the purchase order or the purchase agreement is a Canadian citizen, you leave them alone. If the name on the purchase order is a foreign buyer, you find out why they bought it. If it's a guy from China who bought a condo downtown because he's going to UFT and he's living there, then he shouldn't have to pay the foreign buyers the vacant home tax. But if there's some guy that's a speculator and he's from Russia and he's a multi-billionaire and he buys 30% of a building because he just wants to, yeah, that guy should be paying taxes on that because that's going to hurt the Torontonians. And we got to put people in Toronto first. Like I said, the biggest problem with housing isn't that we have not enough supply or demand or the ability to do it. It's that government is making it take too long and they're making it too onerous. And they're now putting in all this new climate change garbage, 15-minute city garbage. They don't want to go 40, 50 stories with huge underground parkings. Now they want to go 4 or 5 stories with maximum amount of car parking so they can get rid of cars. And they want people to have commercial and retail on the ground couple floors with residences on top. Why? Because they want you to live upstairs, work downstairs, go to the gym in that building, go to Starbucks in that building, do your grocery shopping in that building, basically everything in that building. So you're now living like a slave in a prison, and you spend virtually 90% of your time on the same city block, in the same city building, not even outside. That's how they're trying to redesign the city. I was in England, Ireland, and France, Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, and I was speaking in every country. And in England, they had already implemented their version of the 15-minute city, which is what our version is based on. And they had divided Oxford up into 6 so-called districts. They put actual traffic barricades between the districts to prevent vehicles from going through. They put traffic cameras that will scan your license plate and fine you if you leave your district when you're not allowed. And they limited the amount of times you're allowed to leave, and they limited the times when you're allowed to leave. They also started eliminating vehicle traffic from a lot of areas and replacing with bike and pedestrian. And we're seeing the exact same thing in downtown Toronto. I made a video at Eglinton and Avenue Road, a major intersection in downtown Toronto. It now has the vast majority of the roadway, and this is a very high traffic area where 99% of the traffic is cars. Not pedestrian, not bike. 99% are cars. Meanwhile, 75% of the roadway is either sidewalk or bike lane. Why are they doing this? Why? Because they want to eliminate cars. Why do they want to eliminate cars? Because they want to eliminate your mobility. Why do they want to eliminate your mobility? Because that is one of your basic tenets of freedom. This is why they want to institute a carbon tax. This is why they want to institute a personal carbon allowance. This is why they want to start limiting and even banning air travel in certain countries around the world. The number one thing you're going to be hearing from all of these candidates is climate change this, climate change that, climate change, climate change, climate change, and personal responsibility. And the number one thing they're going to tell you you need to do is reduce your carbon footprint. And the number one way to do that is get rid of your car. And the second way to do that is prevent you from getting on an airplane. And the third way to do that, according to them, is stop you from eating meat. So these are going to be all the agendas they are going to be pushing down your throat while they're telling you to vote for them and telling you how they're going to make your lives so much better.
So I'm assuming then Chris for mayor is the first step. Next, we'll see you, Chris, for prime minister maybe in a few years. Is that
eventually that's going to be what has to happen, because we already know what's going to happen. We already know Pierre Poilievre is going to win. And then we already know that as soon as he wins, all of a sudden, everything Trudeau was doing was going to be such a good idea. Central bank digital currencies, carbon tax, gun bans, mandates, all the stuff that Trudeau was doing that he's criticizing right now, it's all going to be fantastic ideas as soon as he becomes in power.
Pierre, I mean, he's a good guy, you're saying, before the elections.
Like every politician. Someone like me, a person of the people, a man of the people, not a politician, can rise up, they can win, and they can show people the way how to run a city like a business efficiently. Smaller government, fiscal conservatism, and you will see much better results. Bigger government equals more poverty every single time, and every other candidate, it will increase government spending, will increase the size of government, will increase taxes, and they'll tell you it's for your own good.
Chris, I got 4 viewers usually on my channel. So if they really like what you said, what should they do?
Well, first of all, they should go to chrisguyforchange.com. That's my website, and they can see all about our platform. They can watch about my housing platform. They can watch about my transportation platform. They can see the video we just created that shows me how I'm different than all the other politicians. And pretty soon we're going to be adding our third video platform, which is going to be about safety of the children and safety with regards to our community services. Emergency services, sorry. The second best thing they can do is take down my number, 416-400-9994, because I'm the only public servant that actually serves the public in a way where you can contact me personally almost 24 hours a day, just like you did to set up this interview.
Call Chris, done. I guess I need to come up with a title for this video, and I wanted to blend in because I don't want to get, canceled or anything. Conspiracy theorist Chris is eliminating government. How is that?
If you write the word eliminating and government, all of a sudden I'm going to be charged again.
Okay, I'll try to come up with something a little milder based on.
I'll leave it in your capable hands. I was only kidding.
All right, done. Yeah, I'll put the link to your website here. So if anyone wants to take a look at that, just go down to the description and take a look. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And guys, don't mind the clothes. I literally just finished the gym.
I was gonna say, would you be probably the first mayor if you get elected to have tattoos? Because I'm not sure. There were rumors that John Tory had a butterfly tattoo on his ankle. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure he does, because he's one of those sickos. So a butterfly tattoo on him would be perfect.